Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So, I have a couple of card ideas that I want to share with you that feature a really pretty celebration item. No, not that they're all not pretty, because they are, but I haven't had a chance to play with a stamp set yet. And it's called Beautifully Happy, and it's a two-step stamp. So you stamp your outline image and then you stamp your color, to color the image in. And so I haven't had a chance to play with this one yet. So I thought I would play with this one today and share some really pretty card ideas with you. Now, these card ideas, the layouts can be really used with any supplies that you have on hand. They're very simple layouts, but I thought they really showcased this particular stamp set quite well. So I hope you guys enjoy these little card ideas. So good morning, everybody. I am going to start with these three, and then I have three additional card ideas that I'll share with you after I show you how to make these three cards. So good morning. Good morning. So if you're just tuning in, this is the stamp set I'm using. Beautifully Happy, two-step stamp. And it is one of the celebration stamp sets. So it's one of the stamps items, I should say. It's a stamp set, but it's one of the items that you can choose for free with a qualifying celebration purchase. Now, this particular stamp set is free with a $100 purchase. Other items in the celebration catalog are free with a $50 purchase. So you can just choose whichever one you are interested in. Oh, good. So Andrea's playing with the stamp set now, so that's good. Well, then you'll you should enjoy these card ideas. All right, so these two card ideas we'll do kind of last. We'll start with this one. So the image in this particular stamp set is quite large, so I wanted to try to come up with different designs, different ways that you can use that large stamp set in this the large stamp in the stamp set. So I am using some of the Dandy Designs designer series paper. That is also a free celebration item. So this is the Dandy Designs. So the colors for today's project, I'm just using black memento ink to stamp my image. And then I'm using soft seafoam and fresh freesia for coloring in the image. So those are the only colors that I'm using to create these cards. So all of my card bases are soft seafoam. I believe they're all soft seafoam. Yep. So it's just the standard card base. I like to do the side opening card base. So it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4.25 inches. That's the basic card base that I'll be using, but I'm going to set that aside for the moment. So for this particular card, I started with a 2.75 by 5.5 inch piece of white cardstock. And actually, I'm just going to put some paper underneath here, some scrap paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp this large image. So it's a large floral image, and you just ink it up. I'm going to ink it up with the Memento. I like to turn my ink pads upside down like this and ink up these large images, especially this particular image because it's got a lot of detail in it. But that way I can kind of see and get a good image. So I'm going to stamp it hopefully right in the center here. And I'm just going to give it a good push. There we go. Good image. All right. So I always stamp it. I like to stamp it in black because then it kind of gives it a really crisp outline. But you can really use any color you want. If you want to stamp it in green or whatever you want to stamp it in, that would be just fine. So the next thing I'm going to do is just add my soft seafoam. So there's a couple of images in here. There's this leaf image, and we'll just ink this up, and you just kind of hold it over. I just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it's a little outside the lines, that's okay. I like to color outside the lines so it doesn't bother me. And then there's this other little image that overlays this top piece. It overlays kind of the green leafy things. I don't know what you call them. Let's see. I just have to get it over. It's hard to do when you have a camera in front of you. There we go. So that just kind of colors that in. I'm going to move this to the side here. And then I'm going to add my purple color. And there's another image for that. So if you do not like coloring images, this is like the perfect stamp set because the stamp set does all the coloring for you. So there we go. So how pretty is that? All right, so and you can use any colors you want. I just like the kind of lighter colors with the soft sea foam and stuff like that. So you can make your flowers any color you want to. And then the next thing I did is I just cut a piece of the designer paper at 3.5 by 3 3/4. So it's 3.5 and 3 3/4. And this I just put right behind it just to kind of draw out some of that purple color. So I'm going to add some glue. Whoops, I got to grab my glue. I think I'm out of glue. I was putting together a bunch of cards yesterday and I think I used all my glue. So we'll get a brand new one, see what happens here. So I'm going to add this first, kind of right in the center. You would think it's supposed to be a brand new glue. So we'll add this designer paper first, and then we can adhere it to the card front. Now, if you want to save on paper, you don't have to cut a full piece. Just cut, like a 3/4 inch piece and put it on each side. But sometimes I like to just put a large piece behind here. If I have little scraps, I'll use the scraps on the side, but otherwise it's probably easier to put the card together when you use, a large piece of designer paper behind there. All right, so now I lost here it is. So the next thing I did is just cut a 2 3/4 inch piece of white cardstock. So it's 2 3/4 inch. It's the same width as this piece up here. And this is what we will do our greeting. We'll stamp our little greeting on there. So the cool thing about this stamp set is there is a lot of different greetings that you can use. So I'm just going to use the one that says sending happy thoughts. And then I like to put a little bit of colored cardstock behind my greeting. And so I'm just cut a 1 by 2.5 inch piece of soft seafoam. So sometimes I'll like mat out my greeting like this, so that it's equal on the whole, all the way across. But lately I like to just add a little piece right behind there. So it doesn't quite go all the way to the end. I don't know. It just seems to give it just a little different look. But you can certainly mat out the entire greeting if you want to. I'm just going to add a little piece behind here. And then we'll add a couple dimensionals and that will be it. All right. So then this I just kind of put down towards the bottom so it kind of covers up the leaf a little bit. But so that is the basic design that I used to create this card. And you can add some little, I forgot to add my little splatter. I like to add splatter. I can't believe I forgot to add it. So let's add it. So I'm going to use, there's a little tiny splatter image in here. And even though I got this card together, we will still add it. So let's add a little bit of splatter up there. And we'll add a little on that side. So it's kind of a fun little image because, look how it just changes the look of the card simply by adding that little bit of splatter. So there we go. Now it's done. Now it has its little splatter. And then on the inside, I just used some designer paper to decorate the inside of this one, but it's a pretty simple design and it's just really a pretty card. And you can embellish it with, I added a couple little embellishments here. You can use pearls or whatever you want to embellish it. So yeah, splatters are as good as torn edges. They are, they are. All right, so these next two cards, I'm going to bring these two cards out at the same time so that you can kind of see them together. Basically, what I did is I cut a piece. I started with a four 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock. And the first thing I did is I cut out this center piece. I used one of the stitched rectangle dies and I cut out the centerpiece, but I'm going to use both of these pieces because you guys know me. I like to use my scraps. So this piece is going to be used over here to create this card. And then my little frame is going to be used over here to create this card. So I just wanted you to see kind of where I got both of these pieces. Now the frame I just embossed with that quatrefoil tile embossing folder. But you can use any embossing folder to add some texture to your frame. All right, so I'm going to put this, I got to figure out which one it goes with. So let's start with this one. And what I'm going to do, I have to clean off my image here. I'm going to just do that. Figure we'll start with this one. So for this card, what I did is I stamped this large floral image. So I'm just cleaning it off with a baby wipe here because I want to get in those grooves. But I just stamped this large floral image on the soft seafoam cardstock to create a little background for this card. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to ink this up with some soft seafoam. And the first thing I did is kind of go up towards the upper right side of the cardstock. And we'll just add this. And then I'm going to bring in my scrap paper. And then I just stamped it again. So I'm going to ink it up real quick here. And this time I stamped it so that this long stem kind of goes off of the cardstock, just so that I have this lower leaf kind of down towards the bottom. Okay. So that's what it looks like. I'm going to clean this off right away because we're going to need it. So anytime you have large images like this, I like to use them to create a background, and then I can create my focal point, which in this case will be on this rectangular shape. So I'm going to bring back my scrap paper too. So I'm going to ink up this image with that black ink. And get a bunch on here. I think my ink pad is, I think I have to re-ink it. it's kind of losing its oomph. All right, so we're going to just let the bottom part of this flower kind of hang off, this rectangular shape. And I like to push down a lot to make sure I get a good image. There we go. And now we can just add our color. So let's grab the leaf since I got this. So we'll add that first, and then we'll add the other green. And then we'll add the purple. Oops, we don't want purple leaves. We want the flower. And that looks about right. Okay, so notice how, I don't know if you guys can tell on here, but can you see how it kind of does a little bit of shading for you? That's the stamp itself that's doing that. That's not me, that's the stamp. All right, so let's add this to our card front. And just add some dimensionals on the back here. And there's so many possibilities with this stamp set because you can, like I said, you can really use any color. I just liked the purple and this light green together, but really you can do any color for your flower. Sorry, I'm just taking all my dimensionals off. And then this is just going to go right in the center here. Oh, and I forgot my splatter again. This time I'm not going to add it though, because I already popped this up. I'm getting so excited to put the cards together. I'm forgetting the best part. My splatter. What is wrong with me today? Okay. So now I have a greeting again. So this time I used a 3/4 inch wide by 2-inch piece of the soft seafoam. And I used one of the rectangular dies, one of the small ones, to create my greeting. And I used my little die cutting technique to shorten this greeting. I know I showed you guys that before. But the die itself is actually quite long. This really thin die is quite long. So I just did my little shortening technique. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll have to find the video for you guys and post that for you. But it's a fun way to kind of shorten up your dies, your labels, so they fit your greetings. So I need, here we go. I need a little dimensional right here on the bottom. So just a little bit of this greeting is going to hang off. And then, which is why I have the dimensional there. And then the rest of it will be on this larger rectangle. There. Oh, I'm bummed that I forgot to put my splatter on there. But now at least you get to see. I should say I did that on purpose, right? Now at least you get to see what it looks like with the splatter and without. So they're both beautiful. And then I just added some little embellishments here on my little greeting. And then on the inside, I did a little stamping with that image, with this image. So when I stamped the outside of the card, I just added that same image in green on the inside just to decorate. So, all right, so that is card number 2. And let me show you the last card. And the last card is using that negative space from cutting out that rectangle. I keep wanting to call it a triangle, cutting out the rectangular shape. So for this one, I still have my soft seafoam card base. Okay. And I have just a smaller piece. So remember, this piece of white cardstock is 4 by 5 1/4. So then I cut a 3 3/4 by 5. So I wanted it just a little bit smaller, so it didn't fit like perfectly behind this piece, because that'll give me just a little bit of wiggle room to move my frame around if I need to do that. So for this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to stamp let's see if I can remember the splatter this time. We're going to stamp our image in the background. Yeah, that splatter is like my favorite thing to do. But apparently I keep forgetting it. So let's stamp this right about in the center. I say right about. And then we'll add all of our color. So I love these two-step stamps. I know that sometimes they can be a little difficult to line up, but these images are pretty big. So it's just a matter of taking your time and lining them up. Oh, I just put a big blop on there. We'll fix that. Well, actually, you might not even see it. Yes, I do make mistakes. I know you guys don't think I do, but I do. And sometimes my card designs um, come out a certain way because I did make a mistake, because I did blop something. That's what embellishments are for. All right, and we'll put that on there. All right, let's move this out of the way. I gotta get my splatter before I forget. Maybe I can splatter something up there. Blend this in. No, not bad. So let's add some splatter all around. Might have to add a little bit more splatter than normal. Let's splatter off this way. All right. Now I gotta make sure I don't have ink on my fingers because that was my problem. So let's bring this in. Oop. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just add this to my card base, and then I'm gonna work the frame around it. So we'll add this. Because I made this piece a little bit smaller than the frame, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room with my frame. And I just put dimensionals on the back. Put a lot of dimensionals on the back, as you can see. All right, let's see if I can cover some of this up. I don't think I can. I think it'll be good. So you can't even tell my blop. You can't even tell my blop is a blop. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be there. So there we go. And then I just cut out a little greeting. So I just used one of these stylish shape dies to cut out this greeting. And this greeting is going to get tucked underneath. It's going to get tucked underneath there. So I'm not going to get too particular about the end of it. But let's see. How much room do I got there? That looks pretty good. Now, here we go. Gotta find my dimensionals. So I just tucked the greeting kind of under the corner of this frame and down towards the bottom. So I wanted my little green piece to be kind of down towards the bottom. There we go. All right, so that's what that one looks like. And then did I do anything on the inside? On the inside of this one, I used the smaller floral in this set. So let me show you. So there's this large image, and then there's this little small image that also has that two-step stamping. So I used the smaller image on the inside, and I did a little embossing here to match the frame. So I embossed and then just added a 1/4 inch strip of cardstock just to kind of decorate the inside. So that's what the inside looked like of that one. So let me bring these cards back so you guys can see them. So these are the three that I just kind of walked you through how to make. So they're pretty simple card ideas, but they just turned out so pretty. This image kind of does all the work. And let's see. I'm going to try to come back on here. I can figure out. There we go. All right, so I have a couple other card ideas that I was going to share. So besides, just doing the stamping directly on the cardstock, you can fussy cut this out. So I fussy cut this image out. It wasn't too difficult to do that. It's a pretty large image. And then I used that same concept I used over here. I just stamped the image in the background using that soft seafoam, and then I added my image, popped up the image on the card. So there's another card idea for you. And then the last two card ideas, I did a little bit of masking. So I used, let's see if I got it out here somewhere. Here it is. So I took a piece of white cardstock and I just cut out this image. So this is one of the images from the framed florets. So I cut out this image and the oval. So these two images layer together, or these two dies. I'm sorry. Let me bring this back. So these two dies layer together. So I cut them out to create this mask. And then I took this mask, and this is all sponging. So I just sponged, some of that purple and that green together, right through the mask. So I sponged right through the mask like that. And I created this fun little background and then just stamped the image. So you'll notice that like on here, you can see the black. That's because I left this mask on and I just stamped the image right over the top. So that was kind of just a fun way to do something a little bit different with this set. So instead of coloring it in, you can sponge a background and just stamp your image in black right over the top. So that one was pretty. And then here's another idea using that same die. You can create a little frame. So instead of creating this frame, you can create an oval frame with hearts and just pop up the image on the inside of that oval. So there's lots of different ways to use this stamp set, and I'll get all of these projects out on the blog for you later today. So I hope you guys enjoyed these card ideas, and just a fun look at the beautiful Happy stamp set. And I did link in the description below this video. I provided the link if you want to go out and check out the stamp set. You can go right to the website and click on Celebration. You can look at all the Celebration items if you haven't seen them. So, all right, you guys. So I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and a great rest of your week. And I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everybody.